Hello, everybody. So I was just about to Netflix and chill, or there's a new hashtag, quarantine and chill, and the guys were hounding me to share this very specific message with you. So it's not going to be a long update, but it's a very important one. Because remember, everything that we're undergoing in this physical reality through this coronavirus and all that that entails is an opportunity to further yourself along your path. It's an opportunity to transport yourself into those higher realms or to transcend limiting beliefs, limiting programs that are still held within your biological computer, your physicality, your physical container. And although I wanted to quarantine and chill, they were like, nope, you need to get on right now and share this. It's very pertinent and relevant to what's going on. So, as you know, a lot of us are taking precautionary measures, as we should, to avoid getting the coronavirus. So, wearing a mask, doing all of these things, which are a necessity right now. So, the guides want to emphasize that they're not by any means, by any stretch, trying to dissuade you from doing that. You keep doing that, but they want to share a message between the lines that pertains to what we're experiencing on a global scale right now. As you know, we reside within this reality and it is holographic in nature. So everything is a mirror aspect that is catalyzing within you certain things or certain imprints or certain karmic impressions that you've accrued throughout your incarnations that you're here to uproot and release. And the way that you do that, and I've done many videos about this, the way that you do that is you really identify what's coming up for you emotionally, right? In the heat of the moment or whenever you're faced with certain things in your life, whenever you're confronted with certain happenings, you identify the trigger, okay? And you can feel that emotion. Feeling the emotion equates to acknowledging your past lives or your simultaneous lives. You're acknowledging an emotion that's been trapped in you or an energy that's been stuck in your system that's ready to be released. And a lot of times we hold these energies hostage, right? Because we're so cling to our old realities that we don't make way for them to be able to travel up the spine and out the crown and send them back into source. So our job is to be like the car washers. We're here to clean the planetary body, and everyone has their own respective Akashic record, which comprises of many energies that belong to other lifetimes. But I don't really do the linear. I'm more about the simultaneous lives. There are all these different imprints that are part of a collective assignment or a personal assignment that you came into this planet to clear. So you have a personal mission, a role that you're here to fulfill. And we knew as these source beings, as these non-physical angelic beings, that the quickest way to accelerate humanity would be to create this reflective reality whereby we would be confronted with these triggers or these emotions that were unfinished business, or maybe they were finished business and you just chose to take that assignment on board because you knew that you could clear it for the collective. But the majority of the time, if you feel triggered, it means it's yours. It's something that you've absorbed, that you've adopted, that you've taken on as your own, that is a program. So it sets into your body as a program, as a belief, an earthbound belief, or as a fear, as shame, as guilt, as blame, as all of these very limited mentalities that then create your reality. But your outer reality acts as a catalyst to get into those limitations, to get into that separation, and then bridge that gap. We are the bridgers. So we are here to bridge duality. And the best way to beat the game, and I don't mean beating the game as there's a loser and you're the winner, it's more so about bridging unity. You win the game if you learn how to bridge, duality. You have to learn how to bridge duality so as to unify yourself from within, which then broadcasts a signal that other people can tune into to then unify themselves from within. So the guides wanted me to share this message, and I haven't really gotten into it yet. Let's get into it. They said that a lot of people are already physically compromised with the virus. And so what you're doing is you're doing your due diligence or taking these precautionary measures to not get infected, to not catch the virus. But the thing is, though, if you find that you're fearful about getting it, or let's say that you're walking on a sidewalk and someone is walking your direction and you walk off the sidewalk, that's okay as long as you're neutral about it. But if you're afraid and you're reluctant to get close to that person out of fear, that holds a different energy than neutrally walking off the sidewalk. If you're genuinely afraid, or if you find yourself panicking a lot or being overly paranoid, they want you to know that you're already compromised. You don't have the coronavirus, but what you have are erroneous files in your system. You can think of it as malware. You could think of it as corrupt files or programs, all right, that you're still housing in your body, that are deeply etched in your system, which is causing you to feel that panic, which is causing you to feel that stress and that anxiety. And remember, when you feed into those limitations, you decrease your immunity, which leaves you even more susceptible to catching the virus. But that's not the message tonight. The message is that you're already compromised. You're already compromised energetically, because there isn't just one virus. You could think of fear as a virus. You could think of holding judgment, negative judgment towards others as a virus. You could think of anxiety as a virus. You could think of depression as a virus. You could think of all these things as a virus. Now, the way that we transmute those emotions or the way that we uninstall those programs is we have to be willing to dig deep, right? To take your invisible shovel and dig up that emotion and then sit with that emotion for a while, acknowledge it, recognize that it's there, it's been trapped there for a long time, and you were the one holding it hostage, right? No judgment there. We're not trying to condemn you by saying that. You were the one holding it hostage because you were afraid of what your life would turn into if you stepped outside of that box. And your guides are they're going to, I want to say, force you out of that box, because if you want to have a better life, then you have to understand that you're requesting a certain outcome. And as soon as you place that request, your universe records it and your universe begins to respond to it. In other words, your reality starts to reformat itself by sending you all of these curveballs, by throwing you all of these curveballs. And most of us as humans, I've done this a lot, is we hang on to the old. And we're not willing to let go of the old and to relinquish our control, to move into what it is that we actually desire and what it is that we've actually been praying for and wanting. But whenever you pray for something or you wish for something, there's a saying that goes, be careful what you wish for. You set that manifestation in motion. So your universe is going to say, your wish is my command. It's like a genie. And it's going to start to shake your world up by sending you all of these different occurrences and all these people that are going to trigger you into that awakening. They're going to trigger you into that advancement, into that next chapter in your life. That's how it works. That's why I always say, be careful who you summon. If you want to work with dragons, they have a very powerful energy. But the second they hear your call, they're like, okay, they meant it when they said it, let's do this. All right, now they're not going to infringe upon your free will if you decide to back out. But most of the time when you want something, even if you think you don't want it, right? If you consciously think you don't want it, but deep down you do want it, or your higher self wants it for you and through you, because that's how it works. You transmit a signal through you. It's outward. It's an outward signal that, in a way, calls upon the forces of the universe, and these forces conspire to bring about change in your life. As soon as you do that, all the coordinates are going to change. So you're inputting different coordinates, and those coordinates are going to dial in a new reality. That's why you have to brace yourself. You have to be very mindful of every encounter you have with people. You have to be mindful because there's always a message concealed within everything that you do. All right? If someone walks by you and they want to talk to you and now you feel triggered, that trigger might be annoying as hell, but if you've been calling forth change, that trigger could also catapult you into that timeline where the change has already occurred. So that trigger can catapult you based on your response, can catapult you into the higher timeline where the change has already occurred. Because remember, all of your dimensional selves exist and run simultaneously. So there's a future version of yourself right now where if you're single and you want to be married, that version of yourself is already married. She's already sitting on that respective timeline. It's just that your narrow-mindedness, right, isn't able to see or perceive what's already taking place within this now. This now encompasses all timelines. That's why I always say, pay attention to the emotion and then try to correlate it to another timeline that might be taking place. But that's when you get more advanced. Like for me, I can feel excitement in this now moment, right? Like I'm really excited that I just hit 200K followers on Instagram. That's excitement. But within that excitement is contained all of the future timelines that correlate to the excitement. So now I can go in with my psychic antenna, or with what I call my jellyfish. My third eye is like a jellyfish that traverses the cosmos. It's like it floats like a drone into outer space, and it can pick up more information. Right? My third eye, I always see it as like this huge purple eye. It looks like a jellyfish, and it just kind of meanders through the cosmos to collect more data. Or like one of those rolling vacuums, the rolling vacuums that are like self-computerized and they do the work for you. My third eye is like that. So it's like an actual being. You could say it's my etheric self, but I always see it as an eye, and it almost looks like a jellyfish, and it picks up all of this information. So feeling excitement, I can then start to connect to all of the other timelines where I feel the same way, and I can peep into that hole and go, oh, wow, I get why I'm feeling so excited. Now let's pump it up, and let's pump it up. You can actually do that. You can do all kinds of things once you get really seasoned or once you get really proficient with attuning into these different timelines through frequency. And it's all frequency. This is a game of frequency. So back to what I was saying. If you find that you get triggered, someone presses a button, or you get agitated, right, through this coronavirus, you're like, stay away from me. Blah, blah, blah. It means you're already compromised. Already compromised. And if you let that energy sit in your system long enough, it will physicalize as a disease. It's because it's dis-ease. Think of how you feel when you're irritable. You're not feeling easy. You're feeling dis-ease. That's why it's essential that you start bringing your awareness to these different emotions so that you can transmute them. Because underneath them, there's a trauma. There's an underlying trauma that needs to be attended to. And no one's going to do that for you. So the way that your guides get your attention is they make you feel things. That's why whenever people say to me, I don't know if I can hear from you, everyone has guides. Your guides start with the empathy. They start by making you feel things emotionally, physically. And then as you start to remove those programs, as you start to eliminate those corrupt files within your system, you delete them, right? You have to cancel them. Then you don't hold as much density within your body, within your physical structure. And when you don't hold as much density within your physical structure, then you become more telepathic and more clairvoyant and more claircognizant, which is the ability to know things. But in the beginning, the preliminary phase of your awakening is going to be very empathically based. So you feel people. And that's because there are gaping holes in your aura, just like a tear or a leak, okay? And your energy is constantly leaking out. And if you have a hole in your aura, then other energies can start to weasel their way into your aura. Hence why sometimes you go on dates or you hang out with friends and you're not able to be yourself. Like while they're talking, you're like, yeah, That's probably your pain body. That's enacting, right? It's acting out because maybe you have a past life, or in your childhood you were a people pleaser because you had a mom that was overly bearing or overly controlling. And so you were always kind of on your toes, out of fear of being criticized or something. So things like that do add up, and we have to eventually clear those files. It can be past lives, it can be future lives, but remember something, your guides are always communicating to you through your emotionality, always. Now, once you start to go into the higher echelons of consciousness, and you start to work with non-physical beings who don't have a physical structure, they're not as feeling as we are. But they give the best advice because they're impartial. They don't play the game of duality. They don't play, he did this to me, how horrible of a person he is. Our emotions can be the cause of our vibrational frequency decreasing. So keep that in mind. So the non-physical beings I work with, they're not humans that passed. You could say that they're discarnate entities, or they are non-physical beings, aliens if you like, or angels if you like, or a composite of all of them. And they don't have a physical body. So they look at life more objectively than we do. They're impartial. They're hands off. But through that, they're able to give you or offer you a multitude of perspectives or approaches or methods or directions that you can take. And then they leave it up to you as to what you wish to decide, because you have a free will. And my guides see me as like the superstar. They're like, wow, he's the ground crew. Because as you know, we're not really human inherently. We are non-physical beings. So a lot of our guides, they revere us. They really have a high respect for us. They do not see us as stupid or dumb. As a matter of fact, they see us as stars, superstars, because we're willing to come into this dense plane of existence and be willing to do this transmutational work and this transformational work for the entire planet. So it's a huge undertaking. It's a huge mission. So coronavirus aside, start pinpointing when it is that you panic, or when it is that you start to feed into fear as it pertains to the virus, and how you act around people. Do you have those automatic responses? Do you have those knee-jerk reactions? Are you quick to anger? Are you quick to agitation? These are telltale signs that as an energetic being of frequency, you're already compromised. Meaning that your non-physical self is not compromised, but remember, you're this huge jumbo of a consciousness that's holding your body. You're holding your body, and you're animating your avatar. You're animating your avatar. You're traveling temporarily on this earth plane to be of assistance to humanity, but you get to decide, right? I'm deciding what I'm doing with my hands right now. You're animating your avatar. So your job is to have mind over matter, right? You have to become the master of your body. You have to learn how to work your spacecraft or your UFO, which is your body. Or another way to look at it is you have to be the scientist who operates this computer that you're indwelling. And once you have influence over your body, over your mind, then your body and your mind directly correspond to your physical world, because this is physical as is. This is physical. Sorry, my screensaver came on. This is physical as is your solid reality. So once you start to have influence over your body and your mind, you don't just let things barrage you. You don't let these external thoughts intrude upon you all the time, right, to disrupt your peace. And you're calling the shots, meaning you're in control, you're the captain of your own ship. Then you can rest assured that your reality is going to be under your influence too. It will be. But if you're someone who's elevated consciousness-wise, but you still hold fear, say you have a fear around money, you're not going to physically be abundant or financially be abundant, because your outer reality, your solid world, is acting according to your physical body and everything that you house program-wise. And it's always going to be a different program. That's the thing. I've really come to terms with that. It's always going to be a different disk that you insert into this computer. Because without programs, you would cease to exist. Without programs, you would absorb back into nothingness and you would become source again. So in order to have an experience, we have to individualize our sentience. We have to be able to partition our sentience, and then jump into these meat suits and believe that we are all separate, right? So we have to play out a game of separation. You might think that I'm different than you. I might think that I'm different than you, only to remember that we come from the same source and that in fact we are the same. But we're choosing to experience this reality through different bodies, through different lens, through different hands, through different genders, through different everything, through different preferences. But if you take our body away and we go back to the inception point, we would be source. Sometimes people ask me, well, Phil, if you're already clairvoyant and multidimensional, why do you work with guides? And it's just a different feeling. I'm almost like splintering myself off or fractalizing myself. So I am the multidimensional being. I am the guides. But we also have invisible friends. So it's not limited. You can't try to put it in a category or try to define it. But a vision that's coming to me now is like, if you're a mom and you send 2 or 3 children on different errands, like one of your children goes out to buy almond milk and your other child goes out to pick up your laundry and your other child goes out to pick up food, whatever. Like, it's nice to know that there are things being accomplished and you can just lay back. So for me, when I talk about the guides, I'm almost splitting myself, or I want to say that I tune to more of my human self, and then I'm having an experience where all of these guides are running around, or they're just sharing all this information with me, and it feels nice to just sit back, enjoy the human experience, while still being connected to upstairs, while still having that portal open where I can receive all this information. So when I'm receiving these messages, there's a constant influx of messages that are heard telepathically, or that are received as packets of information that I then unpack for you in real time. So it's just a matter of, what do I want to experience today? Like, sometimes I speak as the teacher. So I become this multidimensional aspect. It's just a matter of what you're wanting to bring through in that moment. Anyways, I digressed. To get back to what I was saying is, pay attention to where it is that you still feel triggered. That's your own stuff that needs to be dealt with. It's your own stuff that needs to be looked at and examined. And if you don't feel like examining it or analyzing it, that's okay. Just feel it. Feel it. Take time out of your day to sit there and feel it. Because trying to escape it is only going to shove it back down. Trying to escape it is only going to stuff it back into your body. And think of these files or programs as being these, they're not malevolent. Some of them are, if you're playing in duality, but they hold a consciousness. And a lot of them want to be liberated. They want to be set free out of their cages, kind of like that visual where you see the bird flying out of the cage. They want to be liberated. And oftentimes we're responsible for keeping them in our system. So we have to be willing to let them go. And like I said before, what better time to address this stuff than now? Yeah, it's like this is an unprecedented time on our planet, and there are going to be different frequencies firing at you all day long. And they are going to catalyze within you these unresolved issues or these unfinished karmic imprints or these karmic debts that you've accrued along the way. And it's a perfect time to heal yourself. It's a perfect time to decontaminate your field, to uncloud yourself, to untangle yourself from all these different programs that only want to weigh you down. Like, they're not going to leave. They're not going to leave if, how can I say this? Your ego will fight you tooth and nail. So you almost have to take the high road and be like, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways because it's part of me sacrificing my ego. It's part of me surrendering what I know, which is comfortable and familiar, and trading it in for something I don't know, which is going to be more magnificent than what I already know. It's going to be more magnificent than what I already know. So that's my message tonight. And just a simple energy update. Are you compromised? Think bigger than just this virus. There's a bigger reason as to why all of this is popping out of the ground. It's popping out of the ground so that you can heal yourself as an individualized aspect of Source. And as you heal yourself as this individualized aspect of Source, you become more of Source energy, more of that creator, because we are all creators. You came from the creator, but you are the creator of this reality. You are also the creator of universes you have yet to see. But this is all going to be contingent upon how diligent you are and how vigilant you are with your path, and how you choose to respond to these outer circumstances. The ball is in your court. All right, it's always been in your court. It's just that now we're starting to wake up to this fact. We're starting to remember and recollect these memories. Remember, every trigger is an opportunity to recall something about your past life or even a future life or a parallel life that's happening within this now moment. All right, all of these videos are really just supposed to ignite a remembrance within you. And we do it one memory at a time. So if you get one memory through this video, then I've done my job. Just one memory. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, schmancy. It could be as simple as, oh, he said a word that really resonated. Boom, that's enough. Because in that moment, there was a strand of your DNA or a light filament that lit up. It's a filament within your DNA that lit up. And so there was a code that activated or a time capsule that released. So even if you just get one little thing out of this video, then we did our job together. And I'll be back with more. I love you guys.